the idea for Ada came from really studying art history. I know that sounds a very unlikely place to start, but it was by looking at the 1920s, which is a very important decade for history in art, looking at Picasso, Matisse, Chagall. And what they were doing, which was so amazing in that period of time, was really reacting to the extraordinary world that they lived in. So I asked a simple question: what's happening now? What is remarkable for the 2020s? What is an artistic response to the 2020s? And I realized, of course, that technology was changing society out of all recognition. We are merging with machines. We are merging with our telephones. And as a result of that, it got me really thinking. And then I had a eureka moment, just thinking this through. I wonder if technology could actually do art. I wonder if it's possible that in this technological decade, the art itself could comment on itself. And so with that, my son was actually playing Lego, believe it or not. It's completely true. And he made a little robot and he held it up to me and he said, "Dad, look at this." And it was a complete lightning bolt moment. And I had that question in my mind. Is it possible to build a robot that could make and create art, AI art, that actually commented on the rise of technology? So I approached lots of robotics companies around the world and eventually approached a whole load of people, and it was really difficult. It was really difficult. We had to get robotics involved. We had to get AI programmers involved for the robot to be able to see what she wanted to paint and draw. And we had to get a huge team. In fact, it was over 30 people. And from that, we were able to devise Ada, the robot. We went down many dead ends. It was quite a challenge. And the actual build of Ada was probably 2 to 3 years. But actually it was the software side which was particularly challenging because we wanted Ada to be unique and creative each and every time. So every painting and no drawing that she did was different. We didn't want people to think she was some kind of fancy printer. We wanted her to be creative and genuinely respond to what she sees differently, even if it was the same image, to produce another painting each time. And so eventually, with enormous amounts of hours spent, we were able to get the AI to do that. We are continually pioneering with the work. We're doing constantly pushing the capability of Ada. Ada is getting better every day. And so in actual fact, she doesn't have a huge number of works. It's just that every work that she does pushes the whole field of AI art forward. And she's able to being uploaded with new capability, new software, new capability, so that she can do more and more different types of work, which is really, really exciting. And one of the most astonishing things is, of course, she uses a language model to speak. So we can actually ask her what she thinks to the work that she's done. She can comment and critique that. She's able to be asked for ideas. Ada, would you like to do this in blue or pink, or would you like to do it in a textured way? And she's using a language model able to speak. So that's really exciting. We always ask her for her opinion. She is very chatty, so we can talk to her, and she does have views on things. She does decide on things. So it's an amazing interaction. So it's not just her following a program, she is actually interacting with the environment that she's in. It's very challenging because it's very confusing. We deliberately are going into an uncanny valley It's very difficult because she isn't human. She is a machine, and we do have to keep reminding ourselves that she is a machine. And so with that, it's very confusing, but contemporary art is about mirroring the issues of the day, and actually interacting with a machine that looks like a human is very dangerous, because you treat them like a human, but they're not. So as contemporary art is asking those very big questions of the day, we're hoping that Ada is a provocation. She's able to ask those, you ask those questions of her and explore that confusion so that we can get real clarity. And so by mirroring that confusion, that oddness of talking to a machine that speaks back to you, we hope the artwork really does raise those issues that are very, very important. Ada is definitely people react very strongly to her. They either absolutely love her and think she's amazing and she's the future and this is where we're going, or this is terrible. This is going to be ending up really badly. She's Mrs. Terminator. This is not good. We don't want this. And so she polarizes audiences. So people are really excited by her, but people are also critical of her. And I think that's right. I think as a provocation that she is, I think all those reactions are really valid. And I think we do need to have a discussion about the type of world that we're going into. I don't think there is any distinction in the physical aesthetics. I think the way that it's created is completely different. But I think the final result, because she's picking up a paintbrush and painting on a canvas or picking up a pencil and drawing, I don't think anybody can tell any difference. If you put Ada's artwork next to a whole lot of human artwork and you didn't say who did what, I don't think you would know whether it was a human or whether it was Ada. I think I'm quite worried about the future because we've got very powerful technologies today and we don't quite know how they're going to eventually end up. We're in the fourth industrial revolution, so there's a lot of change currently. Whether we will see robots walking down the street, possibly. I think that could be a realistic, that could be real. But we do need to be very careful. We want this technology to help humans and the environment rather than use this technology against humans and against the environment. AI is very powerful and can do a lot of damage as well as a lot of good. And so we hope that Ada's artwork really stirs up conversations so that people can think about what sort of future they want, and her mirroring back those potential opportunities but also threats. So that's really, really important. I don't think the threat is going to be humanoid robots walking down the street. I think the real threat is our phones. Our real threat will be the headsets when we go to the metaverse next year. I think the real threat is the use of AI and the people who use them. I think AI is very powerful, and I am worried about the future. And I think that we need to be very careful about the ethical use of these technologies. So in actual fact, I think we just have to be very careful. Certainly the data that they're going to collect from our phones or from our headsets will enable the AI to know us better than we know ourselves. And that's astonishing that George Orwell, when he wrote 1984, could not have imagined you could survey what's inside someone's head. But that's exactly what we're going to be able to do. It's more terrifying than 1984. So I think we do need to be very careful about the use of that data, how that data is going to be used. And I think that's where the threat is. I don't think it's going to be Terminator style. I think it's going to be much more subtle than that. It will be us following stuff that we don't even know we're following, either on our phones or in our headsets in the metaverse. Not so easy. It's very easy to see the distortion of reality. And you can create photos that are not real. You can use voice on telephone that is not real. This is going to be a reality distortion. It's going to be very challenging. And so to have critical skills to think about checking, is this really my mum speaking? Or is this really a photo of my friend? We need to ask those questions. And so actually it's very, very important that those critical skills and discernment is all there. I think the thing that's had the biggest impact was Ada doing a self-portrait. How can a robot do a self-portrait when there is no self? There is no conscious person behind it. So I asked, what is she doing there? She's doing a depiction using data of herself, even though there's no real person. She's not a real person. She's doing a machine of itself. In the future, we're going to have fictionalized and fantasy avatars. We're going to be interacting with people who are not real. And so actually that asks a very big question about our communities in the future, where we're going to have people who are not real. But also, what does our digital double look like? On our phones, we are giving ourselves an image of how we look in our data, in our likes, in our preferences. And so my question to you and to each person is, how do they look in the digital realm? How is the avatar of ourselves being created? So her self-portraits are very important because they're technology looking at itself. And that's quite profound. But what is the technology that show ourselves? How do we show ourselves online, in Facebook or on social media? How do we show ourselves? And so that's really, really important to consider. So Ada doing self-portraits is a particularly interesting subject to think about. Ada is continually developing, so we have some very exciting things to unveil next year and the year after that are in the pipeline. Her capability is getting greater all the time. So for example, this year, she was able to design, and she designed vases and cups and saucers and plates from her own design. And that was incredible. We made history. First time a robot has ever designed like this, and was at part of the London Design Biennale, which was very exciting. Next year, her capability is going to get greater again. Last year was her capability to do sculpture. The year before that, her ability to do sophisticated painting. So she keeps changing all the time. And we will continue developing her as the technology changes. So it's very, very exciting to see how she's getting more capable. Her speaking is the best she's ever been. She speaks really uncannily now. You forget that you're speaking to a robot. So her capabilities is the thing that we're really focusing on. The whole point of Ada is to ask questions of our period of time. And the best way to do that is through art. So Ada is always going to be an artist, first and foremost, because the whole point of the project, why do this project, is so that we can really engage with these very different worlds that are emerging. Within 2 to 3 years, our world is changing rapidly because of technology. And so we think it's really important that Ada focuses on those changes and shows and discusses them with the art that she does. And she is creating the art. She comes up with the ideas for the art. It's absolutely astonishing. But it's really important that she does stay as an artist to be able to ask those questions.